A U.S. Marine squad, trapped in the narrow pass of Thermopylae. No air support, no artillery. Just rifles, grenades, and 100,000 Persians marching straight at them. But before we can answer who would win, we need to understand the battlefield and the men who first defended it, the Spartans. 300 Spartans against the vast Persian Empire. It's one of the most famous last stands in all of history. A narrow mountain pass, an army said to number in the hundreds of thousands, and a handful of warriors who chose to fight until the bitter end. But let's change the story. Imagine that instead of King Leonidas and his Spartans, a modern U.S. Marine platoon had been sent back in time to Thermopylae. Not spears and shields, but M4 carbines, automatic rifles, grenades, and modern training. On the other side, wave after wave of Persian infantry, cavalry, and archers stretching as far as the eye can see. The question is simple. Could these Marines succeed where even the Spartans eventually fell? Would modern firepower and tactics rewrite history, or would sheer numbers still crush them in the end? Let's find out what happens when a Marine platoon stands at Thermopylae. We first need to revisit Thermopylae itself. King Xerxes of Persia has launched one of the largest invasions the ancient world had ever seen. Ancient sources claim his army numbered in the hundreds of thousands, though historians today believe it was closer to around 100,000 or 200,000. Thermopylae was a narrow mountain pass where the towering cliffs met the sea. The Persians couldn't bring their full might to bear, and the Greek phalanx could block the way. For 2 days they held, inflicting staggering casualties. In the end, betrayal doomed them. A hidden path allowed the Persians to flank the defenders. This is the battlefield where we place our Marines. The standard rifle is the M4 carbine. Supporting that are M27 infantry automatic rifles and M249 light machine guns. Grenade launchers like the M320 add explosive punch, while at-4 rockets or javelins could disable armored threats. All of this is tied together by something the Spartans never had: radios. The Marines can coordinate instantly. Against spears, swords, and arrows, they'd seem unstoppable. The sun rises over Thermopylae. Dust rises from the Persian host as tens of thousands of soldiers march forward. At the mouth of the pass, the Marines wait. The first Persian ranks surge ahead. They close the gap, shields up, arrows knocked. Then the order comes. Open fire. The pass erupts in thunder. M4 carbines crack in controlled bursts. Automatic rifles roar, and machine guns cut swaths through the packed formations. In seconds, the front ranks collapse, shields splintering, men falling in heaps. The Persians stumble, shocked. Their armor and discipline mean nothing against high-velocity rounds that punch straight through bronze and flesh alike. More men press forward, climbing over the fallen. Arrows darken the sky, but Marines answer with grenades that explode among the masses, shattering morale. For a moment, it looks like the impossible has happened. 40 men halting an empire. The question isn't whether the Marines can win a battle. The question is how many battles they can survive. As the first day unfolds, the Persians attack again and again. Each time, they're met with the same storm of firepower. Every Marine is trained to fight as part of a machine. Fire teams rotate, covering each other while machine gunners pour out suppressive fire. Grenadiers arc explosives into the densest formations. By midday, the ground in front of Thermopylae is a nightmare of bodies. Persian morale falters. Even the immortals, Xerxes' elite warriors, fall in droves as their armor proves useless against 5.56 rounds tearing through their ranks. The Persians, used to overwhelming by sheer numbers, suddenly face an enemy that seems almost supernatural. By nightfall, the pass is quiet. The Marines have held. They've inflicted thousands of casualties while taking none themselves. But victory has a cost. Each rifle has burned through magazines. Each grenade launcher has fewer rounds left. Machine gunners check their belts and realize they're running low. The first day has been a triumph, but supplies are finite, and Xerxes has plenty more men. Each Marine carries what's known as a combat load, typically 7 magazines, about 210 rounds, and machine gunners haul belts of 5.56 or 7.62, while grenadiers have a pouch of 40mm shells. Add it all up, and this platoon walked into Thermopylae with maybe 20 to 30,000 rounds of ammunition. Now think about what happens when you're firing in short bursts against human waves that number in the thousands. At their current pace, the platoon could burn through its stockpile in just a day or two. Every grenade launcher shot is one less explosion they'll ever have. There's no supply chain here. No helicopters dropping crates. No trucks rolling in with resupply. By the morning of day 2, the realization sinks in. Yes, they can kill hundreds in minutes, but every trigger pull narrows their future. And as ammunition dwindles, the balance of power shifts. Without bullets, the Marines are just 40 exhausted men with knives, bayonets, and maybe a few claymores. At Thermopylae, the terrain gave the Spartans time. For the Marines, it gives them efficiency, but only as long as they can keep their rifles fed. Once the magazines run dry, the narrow pass stops being a fortress and becomes a trap. The Persians change their approach. They send clouds of arrows. Thousands of archers line up, their volleys blotting out the sun. Kevlar plates can stop some arrows, but not all, and arms, legs, and faces remain exposed. Then come the night attacks. The platoon has been fighting without rest. Even with radios and training, the psychological pressure mounts. The Persians are learning, they push men into the cliffs, and the numbers never stop. By the third day, the Marines have turned the pass into a graveyard, but their ammo pouches are nearly empty. Machine guns that once spat fire now sit silent, their last belts long since spent. Grenadiers hold only a shell or two. Rifles clack on empty chambers more often than they fire. The Marines still fight, switching to pistols, then bayonets, then anything at hand. It's a scene eerily familiar to history. The Marines, for all their modern might, face the same fate. But logistics, the lifeblood of any army, ran out. When the dust finally settles, the pass is littered with thousands of Persian dead. At its center, 40 Marines who refuse to yield, standing shoulder to shoulder in a hopeless last stand. They fall not in defeat, but in legend. This scenario rests on one brutal limitation: no resupply. But what if that wasn't the case? Imagine helicopters dropping crates of ammunition into the pass, or artillery batteries hidden in the hills. Xerxes' invasion could have collapsed entirely, cut short by a few dozen Marines with steady logistics. The Persian Empire might never have reached Greece at all. Technology wins battles, but logistics win wars. And at Thermopylae, logistics was the one thing the Marines could never have. So what do you think? Would they last longer than the Spartans, or fall just the same?